everybody. My name is Rick. Welcome to my Idaho cabin. Hi everybody. Many of you know that I used to be a chef down in Mexico, and one of the favorite things that I like to make is refried beans. So today that's what we're going to do. Well, I've been conversing with Carol over at Thrifty Chic Housewife, and she makes a Mexican style beans, and she puts garlic powder, ancho chili powder, cumin, and salt in the beans. I never have, and I prefer them without spicing up front. So today I'm going to show you how I learned to make refried beans from my Mexican wife when I was living down in Mexico. It uses a slow cooker, and it's real simple, and they just come out just absolutely delicious. I'm sure you'll like this one. Hi everybody. Today I'm going to be making pre-fried beans. Now these are not refried beans, they're pre-fried beans. Hard to say that one. Anyway, you cannot can refried beans. Can't do it. But we can make the beans that we're going to be using for refried beans, we can can those. So that's what we're doing. We're making pre-fried beans to make some refried beans. Got it? Okay, here we go. This recipe is extremely simple. It uses onions and pinto beans. Today I'm putting 2 pounds of pinto beans, so that should give me probably 7-8 pints, something like that, of canned beans. Now, one thing about refried beans is you can't can the refried beans. So to be specific, these beans are pre-refried beans. They'll be ready to go, and all you have to do is put them in some lard in a cast iron skillet and mash them up. So that's what we're doing. Because I'm using 2 pounds of pinto beans, I'm going to use 2 onions. And here you can see I've cut them in half, and now I'm going to slice them about maybe a 1/4 inch thick. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy Vidalia chop wizard. That's this little gadget, and I think I've shown this before. It dices onions, tomatoes, whatever you want. It's a beautiful little tool, and they're available, I think, at Walmart. I think I saw something like, maybe not this particular model, but something that does exactly the same thing. Anyway, I'll get these sliced up and show you how it works. Well, I have my onions all sliced, so I'll put about 2 slices or 2 or 3 slices of onions on the screen right there, and just close it up. That's how they come out. Nicely diced. They're just beautiful. So I'll finish up with the rest of these slices and throw them in the crock pot. Be back when I'm done. Well, I've put the beans in the crock pot, and I've covered them with water, at least to start. Now I'm going to add the onions, which are so nicely diced. Look at that. Aren't those pretty? Okay, I'm going to put the onions in there, and then we'll add some more water to the crock pot and fill it up. So now I'm adding the onions to the crock pot. Now, I do not add salt at this time. I want the beans to cook and get soft before I add the beans. It just it works better that way. Okay, the beans and the onions are in the crock pot, and I filled it up to pretty much the top with water, and now I'm going to turn it on high and let her go. Those will cook for about 6 hours, and then they'll be soft, and then we'll pressure can them. Beans have to be pressure canned. You cannot do a water bath canning on them. So anyway, when the beans are done, I'll bring you back. So I'm setting up my All-American 930 canner here, and we'll start putting the beans in the jars and we'll get them ready to go. This is a real simple recipe, as you probably noticed. Nothing but beans, diced onions, and water. Cook them in the slow cooker for about 6-7 hours until they're done. And that way, when you fill the jars, the beans are already plumped up. You don't have to worry about quantities in the jar. You can fill them up to the proper headspace just like they are. Okay, I have the jars soaking in hot water, so we'll take them out. We'll put a couple in here. Today I'm using wide mouth quart jars for this. So, we'll fill this up to about 3/4 of an inch of headspace into the hot jars. And the water is hot in the canner. It's on just a light simmer, so that I can put the beans into the canner without worrying about shocking the glasses. Okay, that's about 3/4 of it. 3/4. So we'll just fill up another one here, and then we're going to debubble them and then put them in the canner. Now if you want to, this makes a really great soup just like this. So you can eat this right out of the, just like this, out of the pot. Okay, now we'll debubble. Shouldn't have any problem because it's pretty soupy. But we'll do it just for the drill. Okay. Now we'll put the lids on. Oh, wait a minute. Important thing. We need to clean the lids, and I'm using a pure vinegar solution. I always like to use vinegar because in case whatever it is that you're canning is a little bit greasy or something like that, plain water might not cut it and get it clean. So I like to use vinegar, pure vinegar. Okay, and we'll put the lids on snug, finger tight. There we go. And now these will go into the canner. And I'll continue until we get all of them done, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, I got 4 quarts out of the 2 pounds of beans. So, remember I said I wipe the tops of the thing with vinegar? What do I do with the old vinegar? Put it in the canner. That keeps the outside of the glasses of the glass jars clean. Keeps it from building up solids on the outside. So now we'll put the top on the canner, turn it on, and we'll start canning. This is not going to be a canning video per se to teach you how to operate a pressure canner, but there's other videos on YouTube that where you can get that information. But I've just put the top on here, cinched it all down tight, turned it up on high, and now I'm going to wait for the steam to start coming out of the vent here, and I'll let that vent for 10 minutes, and then I'll put the weight on, and then we'll start pressure canning. Well, the canner has been under pressure for 90 minutes, which is the correct time for quarts. And so now I just turned it off, and now I'm going to let it sit and rest until it releases the pressure naturally, so it comes down to 0 pressure. And then I'll take it out and set the jars off to the side and let them sit overnight. One thing I wanted to mention about this particular recipe for me, I'm making pre-refried beans. Now the Thrifty Carol over at Thrifty chic housewife, and Linda over at Linda's Pantry. They make similar beans, but they make chili beans or Mexican beans or whatever they want to call them. But so there's a different way to, you can spice them up or not spice them up depending on what you're making. I'm doing refried beans. That's the purpose of this recipe. And so I don't want them real spicy. I just want plain beans, and then I'm going to add a can of Salsa Casera at the end when I put them together. And so when part B of this video will be out on the deck with the camp chef, and I'll make some refried beans, and I'll show you how the Salsa Casera gets in there and how it gets done. So I've always thought that a recipe is kind of like a roadmap. You can get from point A to point B a lot of ways. And so, if you're going to make Mexican chili beans, then you should put some spices in front, up, in the jars. But like I said, for my particular purpose on this one, I didn't want any. So just want to clarify that. The canning session yesterday went very, very well. I got 4 nice quarts of pre-fried beans, and so today we're going to make refried beans. And here is everything that you're going to need. Some Crisco, the pre-fried beans, salt, and a skillet, cast iron skillet. Now, I'm doing this outside, which if you have the capability of doing that, you might want to do it outside, because this does splatter. And unless you want to use it as a training exercise to clean your stove, it's good to do it outside. But if you don't have the capability, do it inside and clean your stove. So let's get started. Well, my cast iron pan is heating up, so now I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons of lard, Crisco, in here and let that melt. That ought to be enough. So we'll let that melt, and then we'll be ready to put the beans in. Okay, the lard has melted, and now it's time to put the beans in. Now, if you don't let the lard get too hot, this won't splatter. But let's see how it's going to go. That's going to go all right. Just right. Not too bad. Come on, you guys, get out of there. Get all that goodness out of that jar. Okay. Now we just have to move them around a little bit and smash them up. Get them to the consistency you like. You can leave a few whole if you want. I like mine pretty smooth. So we'll just get these mashed up and then see what the consistency is. If they're too dry, you could add a little chicken broth in there to loosen them up just a little bit. But these look like they're going to be just about right. I think the way they were processed in the canner, that's just about the right amount of liquid. Okay, we'll let that go for there. And now I want to taste for salt. So we'll check it for salt. Oh yeah, it needs salt. They always do, because I don't use a lot of salt in my cooking. You can always add salt at the table, but if you oversalt, you've ruined it. So we'll do this in a couple steps and we'll see how this works. The only other thing we have to add now is a can of Salsa Casera. This is one cup. It's a 7-ounce can. It's 1 cup of Salsa Casera. So now we'll mix that in and let the beans come up to temperature, and they'll be ready to serve. While I'm out here on this nice beautiful day, I thought I'd show you around the deck and some of my toys. Down at the end there is a Weber kettle. I have a rotisserie ring for it too, but it's not on there right now. And then of course the Camp Chef that you just saw. And then we'll swing around here. That's my Cajun fryer. It's a propane outdoor 2-burner deep fat fryer. And then of course my Traeger. One other thing I have out here on my deck is a sign that I made that tells people where I am. So if I'm not here at the cabin, I usually like to let them know where I'm going to be. Well, there's the finished product, refried beans, and they are delicious. Thanks for watching another episode of My Idaho Cabin. I hope you enjoy this recipe, and I hope you enjoy these videos. If so, click on the subscribe button down below and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let me know what you want to see on these videos, and I'll try to comply. So anyway, thanks again, and a special thanks to Smokey, who kept his mouth shut during the making of this video. I don't know what's wrong, but he just isn't talking today. But thanks to him anyway. So, until next time, this is Rick at My Idaho Cabin.